but yeah, nothing I can do. So let's do it again. We have Jeff Robinson. Jeff Robinson is Canadian living in sunny Barcelona. He's been in the financial business and capital business for 30 years, and the last 15 years all the business about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and this kind of things. I'm not even sure 15 years ago artificial intelligence was here. But yeah, who knows?
Here for many decades.
Okay, if you say so. Okay, so we also have Zagros with us today. Okay, and we have another guest as well. We have Zagros with us today. So Zagros is from Madrid. I mean, he lives in Madrid, so it's kind of noise, Zagros, for some reason from you. Zagros lives in Madrid, but he is not Spanish. He actually is Kurdish from Iran. We have another guest, Samuel Huber with us. Samuel, he lives in London, but he is not British. Yes, I'm sorry. I know we've done it already, but technical problems. We were not on air. We are on air right now, so we have to do it again. Sorry to bother you, Sam. You're not British. You half French, half Swiss. I already said for me it sounds well the same, but obviously it's not for you. So Sam is ex-physicist turned entrepreneur. He used to work for Formula One. He left it. I never worked for Formula One. I would never left probably. Okay, guys, we're getting views, some views. I have to apologize to everyone that we had some technical problems. I don't know what happened, but recently, I have to say after all these changes, Hangouts and YouTube supposed to work better, but they work worse. Okay, guys, let's do our show. I ask you a question, or we have to do it again, but we're not really on air. So startup, what is startup? Startup, I understand, is new business. But if I open a pub tomorrow, is it startup?
Nope.
I would say yes.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Sam. I'm dying to hear your response to Anton's question. Why would the opening
for me, a startup is a startup is a business that doesn't have a proven business model or doesn't have a proven customer base. So when you're a startup, you try to build something and hoping that people might like it, but there is always a level of innovation. Like if you start a bakery, you pretty much know that people are going to want to buy bread, at least in France. And you know how much money you're going to make, and yeah, so it's a lot easier to predict. For me, a startup is something that when you're still trying to figure those out, like are people going to want to buy shoes online, for example? So for me it's a lot less clear how you're going to monetize and what your target audience is going to be. And when you start to figure it out, then it becomes a proper business out of the startup zone.
Yeah, but for me, the startup is a stage of the study of the business model, but from idea to finance to how to market to how to sell. So it means that if I start a bakery, it still can be a startup because it's not just about idea, it's about how to sell it. So if I open a bakery tomorrow and say, okay, I want to sell this bread by creating some application or some idea to take the favorite and customized bread of the customers and deliver it early in the morning. At the stage that we test this idea, which is work, do I have a revenue? Do I make a money or not? How I expand my idea? It's startup. And at the moment that the cycle of the startup created says how I can make a money, how I can do a marketing, and how is my cost and how is my customers, if we have all the cycle, then the startup turn into the normal business.
What do you think, Anton?
I don't know. This is a point. I don't know, because this show, as a format is, we have two hosts. Well, Jeff, who knows everything, and myself, who knows absolutely nothing. So this is the idea of this show. Well, yeah, well, it's not exactly. Nobody knows everything. I know probably something about startup, but very little, because most of the things I was doing was digital marketing, SEO, this kind of things. For me, it's why I ask startup, because it's so popular nowadays. Say startup. But I kind of tend to agree with Sam, because for me, startup is all this tech startup and some kind of new technology and things. What was your take on it, Jeff?
Well, that's an interesting take. I mean, my take is a little bit more along the lines with Zagros, which is, I believe any industry can be, you know, a startup, and I think that it doesn't necessarily mean when you start a new business that you do not know what it is, the customer base or the product or the service. I think it's been, you know, a technology. People refer to startups as being only in technology or biotech, but I think that you know, if you go back 100 years, I mean, I can name you plenty of startups that were banks or whatever it may be, and you know, each one of them, as they progressed through the years, were essentially a startup. And I think that any business, whether you're opening a bakery or whatever it may be, you're a startup. You have to, at the end of the day, figure out how to deliver a great product or service to your customers at a price that's going to make money so that you can stay in business. And of course, with technology being part of how you're going to do that nowadays. Being able to use the web or a platform, being able to deliver the product to the end user faster, something like that.
Yeah, okay. Now it's so many startups, so I guess to be a startup is even more difficult to open it up, because startups are just everywhere. Well, okay. Let's get to our guests or our victims, depending on how you look at it. How people manage to become a startup, especially people. Well, we have two. I don't know, but I guess two very different cases. So we have somebody who were born in Western Europe. And Western Europe means basically rich. Well, I not imply that Sam born in a rich family, but Western Europe is Western Europe. Being from Eastern Europe, I understand the difference. And we have Zagros who were born in Iran, which we have very little knowledge of, and everything we know is kind of, well, should I say negative or very, well, scary. So, and both guys are here now. Both are in Western Europe doing some kind of well, some startups, and I understand very technical and well, all this modern tech stuff, which I have no idea what it's all about. Was it correct assumption? I don't know. Should we start with Sam?
Yeah, I think definitely.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, surely there is a difference, of course, between, you know, where you are at the beginning of your journey. So I'm not denying that. I mean, being, you know, in Western Europe, it's easy to travel everywhere. So at least, you know, I don't have to worry about any of those issues, and can focus on the business. So yeah, I think there's a big difference.
Zagros, how about you?
Well, from my personal experience, let me tell you something. Well, before I came to Europe, to Spain, when I was in Iran, I also had the same personality, of course. So I just was trying to be entrepreneur, starting new ideas, doing entrepreneurship. But it was the difference was that what was in my brain at the time, in the developed country, or I will say in US, Canada, or Western Europe, what's happening is is like, if you want to be entrepreneur, if you want to make a startup, you have to be unique. You have to, because there's a huge market, there's a huge marketplace, and there's a huge competitors everywhere. So if you want to be a successful, you need to be unique. You have to have a very good value proposition. You have to be different from others, and besides, you have a lot of accelerators, incubators, investors to handle you up and put it up to make the cycle turn. But the difference between there and Iran, or I would say developing countries, it's very, very hard to start a unique, totally unique ideas. So the best idea to be entrepreneur, I would say, is the copy pasting of current startups in the developed countries, like, I don't know, like Airbnb, like Uber, like Cabify, like taxi call, whatever, and then paste it in those developed countries, because the idea has been validated and the idea has been confirmed that it has a customer, it has everything, and also the technology is open there and is written. So the very like standard way and that make the people and investors in Iran trust in you is just like say copy pasting the ideas that you have. Still is not bad. Still is entrepreneurship. Still those countries that has a lack of many technologies and ideas that's running ideas. So even for the people who are living in Iran or India or developing countries, still is a not bad idea to do this as a.
Good. Zagros, how did you arrive in Madrid? How did you go from being in Iran, doing your university there? What did you take, and how did you get to Madrid? What was that journey? What did it look like?
Yeah, well, I did my bachelor in Iran in information technology, and you know, I started around 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, information technology, well, IT in general was a hot topic, but not hot as here. So also, I was always looking to be a different, let's be honest. So negative or positive, doesn't matter. So that's why I said, okay, if I want to keep in Iran, I have to do some kind of normal IT jobs. So I have to do. So that's why I applied for a university in Barcelona, the Polytechnic University of Barcelona, of Catalonia, UPC, and I did the business intelligence program as a master. And then again, after finishing that, I say, okay, cool, and now I need to know what I know and combine it with something different. So I started to do a PhD, a doctoral program in the same university, but in artificial intelligence program. And then say, okay, now I need to apply this knowledge on something. So now I'm in the Oracle partner and I'm working as a business intelligence, as a consultant. And but still, after a while, I figure out, okay, still, this is not something that I made myself to be far from the family, friends, and everywhere. So I have to follow my ideas, which is being entrepreneur. So then I started to get ideas, work on ideas, and finally one of them just ended up, and now is a burn baby.
So we'll get to that in a moment. Now, Sam, let's hear your story now. How did you go from being born in France to becoming a physicist to working for Formula One to now living in London? What was your journey, and how did that all happen? And how old are you, Sam, by the way?
I'm 26.
Zagros, how old are you?
27.
26 and 27. Okay, great. Go ahead, Sam. Tell us your journey.
Yeah, so basically I've always been quite a creative person, and when I was starting university, I just wanted to understand how things work. It's as simple as that, and I thought physics could basically teach me that, because you're supposed to be able to explain everything with it. And so yeah, I've been studying that in universities across Europe, and it was really interesting. And even if I don't use it day to day, it definitely teaches you how to think and how to approach virtually any problem. because when you've dealt with quantum mechanics, you can basically solve any other problem on the planet. Yeah, I started with that, and then realized that actually I was interested into the mathematical side of things, and I wanted to apply this knowledge, and so moved into engineering, and I was also passionate about motorsports, so I thought that would be a good way to apply what I know, and so I ended up working in Mercedes for about 2 years, and that was already 3 years ago. But also knew that I always wanted to pursue my own path and do my own venture. So I knew that when the time was right, I would just basically make the jump, and decided to quit my job in 2013 and move to London, which is also something that I really wanted to do. So basically realized after a while that to progress quickly, there's not many options except that actually trying to do something on my own.
And tell us in just 20 seconds, Samuel, what did you do at Formula One for Mercedes? What was that all about?
So I was an engine strategy engineer. Basically, the drivers that run Mercedes engines have, at the time, had 8 engines a year, but about 20 races. So basically, you have to find the optimum way to allocate this engine between races. So we were running simulations based on kind of a topography of the track, based on the damage of the engine. We would basically find results and assess what engine is best to use for what race. And I was doing that for 8 drivers that were running Mercedes engines.
Pretty cool. By the way, everybody, now that we've talked about a little bit about math, I don't know if people know, but Anton is a PhD in mathematics.
Yeah, I was
I'm
20
proud of Anton and his
Nice.
PhD, and he doesn't tell anybody about it, but he is one smart guy, even though he'll tell you he asks dumb questions.
Smart.
Yeah,
well,
in 20th century. It was a long time ago.
20th century. Well, nevertheless, it still applies, Anton. You did obviously you had to work hard to do it, and that's a great feat that you accomplished. So well done. Let's go over to Zagros, and Zagros, why don't you tell us now what you're up to? You spoke. You're at Oracle, and you have a startup on the go. Give us a quick 2-3 minute description of your startup, what it's like, what that journey feels like every day, the struggles, the ups, the downs. Give us a couple minutes.
Yeah, sure. Well, at the moment, the first startup that it made me to know more people, which is back to 2 years ago, when I started a startup. It's called Eras Life, and started with my friend, who just failed. I got to study a lot of study from it, that why it failed, why not, and then starting a new idea, which is called QuitCase, and which is the smart connected case that has helped people with the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning to help people to quit smoking simply, progressively. And so I'm a smoker. I was very hard smoker, like smoking almost 2 packets per day. So one day I would die to coughing. So it was actually my turning point to say, okay, I'm not going to die, and I have to find a solution, which is I'm not alone. So I took a lot of studies about how smoking affects the brains, how smoking craving come to us, and how it trigger us. And I found out, like, how can, as a person who's smoker, how can I make the advantage of it to make the best product, which is totally fit for the people, and as the same for me, in order to help me to quit smoking progressively.
Zagros, did you quit?
Because I say it's progressively, I came from 2 packets per day to 3 or 4 cigarettes per week.
Okay, so you're still smoking.
I'm still smoking, but it's about to quit.
Okay, but well, you did it without any artificial intelligence, did you?
Yeah, because exactly, because it's I did the same what the product will do. The product will do says, okay, I learned from my habit what is triggering me. If the hot coffee triggering me, or if I don't know, very delicious food is triggering me, so I have to replace. I have to say what kind of situation will make me to feel craving. So at the end, after this, I say, okay, I need to avoid it, or I need to replace it with another habit. So with this, from 40 cigarettes per day, or I would say 280 cigarettes per week, I came to 3 cigarettes per week.
Oh, that's a great achievement. Even I can understand why you just cut all this to the zero. So is it your startup already up and running? You have clients and everything?
No, we're still in the prototyping phase. So we make the case, and now the users, who's one of the main users, is myself. Just in order to be very good storyteller, to say that this is it, this is what it done, and this is the result. So and now we're in the business development phase to make it stand up and going ahead.
Yeah, because I've seen your website. Website seems to be up and running. Oh, very little traffic, no traffic basically so far on this website. So I thought it's not up and running yet. Okay, so.
No, it's in up and running. It's in the startup is in the business development. So we're in the phase of change a lot. We will do it lots of changes very soon.
Good. And Sam, what about you? Tell us your story.
Where should I start? So basically, the startup that I'm involved now is called Kout, K-O-U-T, short for checkout. And the idea is a gamification of e-commerce. So the idea is that whatever you want to buy online, we give you a chance to save money on it and save up to 99% on your shopping by playing little games completely free of charge. And so basically the idea came from when I was still working in the Formula One industry. I started to manage 2 people. I realized that using some mechanics, I could basically create incentive for them to be more efficient at work. And that was basically me learning about what gamification is. So I started to learn a lot about it, behavioral science, started hanging out with psychologists. I remember going to some universities to attend seminars and everything, really to understand the mind of, what it's a bit like Zagros said, is figuring out the cause of why do people act like this? What is triggering them to act like this? And then I realized that gamification was obviously something that was used in people to exercise and in healthcare, education. But then looking at the e-commerce, I realized that nothing was really done to gamify a checkout process or gamify a purchase process. So yeah, that's basically how it happened. I thought I kind of saw a gap in the market, and basically they decided to tackle this.
Good. And Sam, you have clients now. How's it going? You have revenue. Where are you at? Have you raised money?
Yes, and yes. So we have a model that works. Obviously, we need brands to list their product on the platform and then customers to buy these products. So we monetize 2 ways. We have already large brands on board like Amazon, Unilever, Nike, Samsung. And it's great to see these brands actually caring about gamification now, because when we started talking to them about it about 2 years ago, they were not that keen at all. So we can already see a shift. In terms of users, so we're still in a beta version, but we have about 20,000 actives monthly on this platform. And last month revenue globally was around £20,000. And yeah, we're raising money as well. It's growing steadily and slowly.
Good. Actually, on that note, Sam, tell us in 1 or 2 minutes your original raising. You did a first raise of capital through an incubator in London. Tell us what that experience was like. Why did you do it? How did it work out for you?
Yeah, so we raised 100K from Collider, which is the #1 accelerator in London, in the UK actually, for all companies in advertising and marketing. So we knew that from the experience that we had before we raised, it was very hard to get hold of these brands, to get them on the site for different reasons, like brand image, for example, let alone getting them to pay us money. So we knew that we had to kind of fast track the sales process, and we thought that Collider, having all this relationship with brands and organizing all these meetings when they put you in touch with right away at different stage of the business was really helpful. Yeah, they invested cash as well, and it's been a great experience. Of course, you still have to do most of it yourself. They don't replace a co-founder or anything like that, but it's a great network to have, and some of the investors follow around as well. So overall, it's been a very good year.
Very cool. So you highly recommend Collider out of London as a great accelerator to apply to?
Yeah, they're very industry focused. They more into the B2B side, and they want to see traction, and they want companies that basically can work out with their brands. So it has to be related to advertising and marketing somehow. And I think they are taking the last entries for the next cohort.
Very good.
Yeah, it's understandable that you use their connection, which is absolutely great. Yeah, shortcut. But why did you need the money for, actually?
We needed money because we basically, I was building a team of developers, so I'm not a developer myself. So I have 2 developers that basically design and build the entire platform, which needed to be paid. So basically, most of the seed capital that we had at this time went into the team building. As we develop, we also started to test different things in terms of marketing, acquisition. Obviously, the business is not profitable from day one. So this is why we needed a little bit of seed capital to help us.
But this business is based on the people who went to your website and eventually buy something. So basically, you need a lot of traffic.
That's right. We need a lot of traffic to monetize that way, especially that when we monetize through affiliate marketing, the margin are not that high. So to counteract that, we've built other way to monetize through the game, which drastically increase our margin. But the idea from day one was to get revenues from the brand, get the brand to pay us to develop like a game that is branded, for example, pay us upfront a large fee so that we can fund the company without raising too much money. And that's what we've done in the past few months.
Because I've just checked your website, and traffic is, well, what should I say, about pretty low. So far about 5,000 visits a month or something. So it's.
We have more than that now. Yeah, about 20. Okay. But yeah, it's still pretty low. Like I said, we haven't activated the full marketing.
And Sam, now you're going to raise more money, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we're raising 500,000 pounds, and we have a commitment from our lead investors to commit for 300,000.
Very good. Excellent. You anticipate having that done, what, by the end of the year?
That was the target. They're starting the due diligence, so it's all going to depend on the lead investor, see how quickly they can complete this, and based on that, hopefully be able to close the rest as well by the end of the year, or January.
Zagros, how about you? In terms of quick case, what do you need to do? What are your big wishes? What's on your wish list?
Well, we're in the initial steps. We did the prototype. We started to validate the product by some testers. But now it's in, as I said, in the business development phase. We're working on to find accelerators to have some initial investment to kickstart a little bit, go forward with much more power from the developing side and the marketing and the designing side, in order to prepare ourselves like a very good prepare to start our campaign as a followers, so to follow us, in order to start in next year in January, February, to do our Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns. So because our business model is very straightforward, it's selling the product, so it's a physical product, which can be pre-sold at this moment, which would be the pre-selling and validation by crowdfunding campaigns that we're trying to do it.
And how have you funded it to date?
Excuse me?
How have you funded the project to date?
Okay, till now it's the self-funded by the founders. So it's a very hard way. So it's kind of, I'm working for this company, I'm working also for another company, and the co-founders is helping, which is one of them is Jeff. And so the point is where they have some cash burn in order to really make this cycle turn, in order to just grow and grow and be in the stage that we have to say something to the accelerators, to say, hey, we're in this stage, we developed this too much, so we want to raise money for this amount of.
Zagros, and your main expenses are on development as well.
Yes, there was also the cost for developing the application side, to run the application side, which with some kind of prototype design, I would say, and also it was a cost for creating and creating the physical box, the physical case. So from creating the circuits to printing, as in I would say 3D printed the case, would be the cost from a quid case from our side.
But you would need funding. You said you would need funding for what? Most of it for marketing. For marketing.
Most of the prototype, the current technology that we make the prototype is what is suitable for our economic status, right? So if we have more, if we get funded, it would be much easier to create more fancy, more premium class-wide box with a higher technology. This is the first one. The second one would be, yes, to create the campaigns and followers before getting into the crowdfunding campaigns directly.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a similar question, Sam. Sam, what about marketing? From marketing point of view, you said you spend most of the money on development, which is kind of understandable. What about marketing side? Are you going to spend more money on the marketing?
Yes, of course. As we grow, we're going to move some of our resources into the marketing spend, for sure. It's always important, of course, to as you go along, and we've done that. We've tested on a small scale. With Facebook marketing, Twitter marketing, we've done some Google AdWords as well. With really limited budget, like 10, 15 pounds a day, and just see how that converts and that drives into sales. And based on that, we will be able to allocate a larger budget to the channels where we actually find a return on investment. Yeah, we'll never start by raising millions and just pour it into marketing and see what happens. It's all about proving your channels before you can scale them.
Okay, but so far, obviously, you're using a little bit of your revenue. So what's your plan about marketing? You still gonna use it organically, or you wanna just take money and put as soon as you know that this channel works?
Yeah. So as soon as we know, then we basically scale as quick as we can. So
with
far
investor money. With investor money. You will scale
exactly. Exactly. If you know that for every pound that you put into or every dollar you put into Facebook marketing, you get 1.3 or 1.4, then it just keeps growing. You reinvest your profit into acquisition, And so we're going to do it like this. We're also going to build content around the product and around the offers that we have, leveraging social influencers. I mean, that sounds very general, but we have a clear plan of action to do that in different verticals and based on the products that we offer.
Sam, what is or who is your #1 role model in the kind of tech startup world?
That's a good question. On top of my head, I would say Elon Musk. I mean, I know it's not very it's probably very common, but yeah, it's just you know, taking an idea, no matter how crazy it is, and pursuing it for years, and yeah, never giving up, even if when he had 3 weeks of payroll left in the bank account, just like days before he got a contract from NASA, or reinvesting the 300 million that he makes. Is just another level of commitment to the startup, which I admire a lot.
I completely agree. Zagros, who would be your #1 role model?
You muted, Zagros.
We can't hear you, Zagros.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you talk about like is in a technological model, I would still say one of my influencers would be Alan Turing, with what he did in machine learning. But as an entrepreneur, one of my favorite would be the Walter Elias. You know him, is the founder of Walt Disney. So about how creative he was, it made me fascinated when I was a kid, even to how he could turn this company into the huge company like what we have.
Very, very interesting. Now we're going to do something a little bit different now. Sam, you're going to ask Zagros a question, and then after that, Zagros, you're going to ask Sam a question. So ask a nice, difficult question.
Any question?
Anything. Let's see.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I wanted to ask, so clearly you guys are more like but also developing a software, right, that goes in the box. That was not a question. Yeah, so I mean, I was just wondering if you found different challenges related to the hardware part that you were not expecting. And that would be interesting for me, because I've only been involved with software startups. So there must be other non-obvious challenges that come when you're dealing with hardware.
Good question.
Well, it's a good question, because I was a pure software engineering. I was an information technology guy. That says actually one of the reasons that I figure out, apart from that, for my idea, it's kind of not impossible, but very difficult for the user to make the user turn into the application and say, hello, I'm smoking, or not I'm smoking, or whatever. It was an idea to go back to the hardware, but beforehand to say, okay, why I came into the Internet of Things or IoT world, I would say, mainly was because as a software engineer, I say data is important, but we have to drive all three parts of the cycling of the data. So capturing the data, processing the data, and presenting the data. This is very, very important in the cycle of software engineering. So most of the software engineers is taking just the one part, which is the processing of the data or presenting the data.
Yeah.
So we have some services just the reporting services. We have some services manipulating the data or processing the data, like currently we have like machine learning startups, artificial intelligence startups, or voice detection or whatever. Then another companies like I don't know, measuring the number of tracks, the steps of when we walk, is for capturing the data, and simply they just track it. So I came to the idea, what if I combine all these three steps together? So which is capturing the data, tracking the data, processing the data, do the machine learning, and presenting as an active way, not as a passive way, just the user go to the application and see some numbers. So this is what we, but of course, it's gave us a big challenge to say one part is the application side, the developers, designers, whatever, and another one was the hardware. Is it work? Is it not work? How we can monetize it? How we can make it perfect style for the user? Because there's a big difference between providing a service or providing a product. Providing a service should be very trustful because, and it's a huge market. But for the product is different because you have a product, you sell it, it's straightforward, but it's also is very limited about the customers that you sell. So that's why it's very hard. So if we take a risk and if we do a bad product, it's very difficult to people came back to us and buy us. This is the main challenge that we have.
Very cool. Good one. Zagros, give Sam, because we've only got about 5 more minutes. Zagros, give Sam a question, and let's hear what you've got to give him. Go for it.
Yes. Well, Sam, I was very interested in your idea in the first day when I saw it and I tested around. And I know about gamification, gambling, all this psychological stuff. And my main question is, have you ever played a game to win something? Like, are you a fan of gambling personally?
I am personally. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm a compulsive gambler, but I like everyone, you know, with the right incentive, you feel compelled to yeah. There's definitely an attraction that, you know, you can play for to win something, which in our case becomes very different since you do not have to invest anything in the game. Like I said, it's a completely free to play game, so it's actually a different motivation. But go ahead. Or was that the question?
No, it was, yeah. My question was, like, personally, like, how is your intention about to play a game? Because for me, I love playing games. So I can also, I want to play a game and meanwhile try to run all over the world, you know? It's just, if I can make this, it would be perfect. And now you pointed to the very direct point. So my main question was, why you came up with this idea? I mean, you gave me some stories about like the lack of the market in that section, but was it something came back to you as a gamer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't simply go, you know, analytically and say, oh, there's a gap in the market. It started. Exactly. The core idea was me building something that I thought was cool. I think like most startup start, or at least should start. So yeah, it was basically thinking, you know, you see all these people gambling or even playing games, and how could we link that to e-commerce and really getting value out of it? Because when you see how much time people commit playing games and how into the game, you know, they're really into the game, it's very hard if someone is playing to get them to even to talk to you. So there is engagement really is, for me, engagement is a synonym of game, really. You can't build something that creates more engagement than a game. And so when you know that retailers are looking clearly for engagement, and engagement leads to sale, I just saw really, you know, big synergy, and having a background, like you said, interested into gaming, I thought, you know, I would be a user of that, and that's kind of how the idea was born in the first place.
Perfect.
Maybe Kaut can do some gamification on the quick case.
Would love to.
I was about to ask, actually, but surely you've had I'm not sure how that works exactly, but, you know, like the onboarding process, surely you've thought about gamifying it to make it more exciting for people to actually get involved with it.
Well, yeah, totally, because Quickcase from the beginning has the get the benefit of the gamification, about make this process, which is hard, to be a fun. So you're involving with the people, with other smokers that want to have the same journey and want to quit. So all of them have feeling the same range. So they do a competition together to say to others, yeah, let's see. Today I didn't smoke, or I smoked 2 cigarettes less.
Yeah.
Apart from that, yes, exactly. So it's all about like feeling. It's a psychological feeling, like attracting people to come back, and also feeling a challenge, because people from young to old love challenge. It doesn't matter how hard is it, but they love challenge. But at that moment, let's say they are successful in that challenge. So if you show a kid that says, hey, if you solve this challenge, I will give you this, and if he can solve it, he will for sure go for the next challenge.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
You guys,
this is the way.
to exchange Skype details.
Reminds me of my first startup.
You guys need to do a Skype and or a Google Hangout and have a chat.
Definitely.
Anton, what we'll do is, why don't you? It's our first show. It was good fun. It was great to hear the stories of Zagros and Sam, and amazing to hear how they're from such different parts of the world, and all of us are, which is amazing. Anton, why don't you close it up and?
Yeah, before we close now, I still have one question. I just can't help. Sam, I read what about you. You said your first startup was a spectacular failure. Everyone had a failure, of course. If you don't, well, it would be strange. We know how it works in Europe. In Britain, for example, failure, bankruptcy is kind of stigma. And in the United States, it's a completely different story. In the United States, if you didn't fail, the investor probably wouldn't even talk to you. Why you moved to you moved to England to work for Formula One, and London is a brilliant city, surely. But wouldn't be a United States better environment for startup? Well, I know it's the same question to Jeff exactly. Why, Jeff, you moved to Barcelona? Okay, Barcelona is a beautiful city, but from startup and business point of view, wouldn't be United States? I don't know really about Canada, but wouldn't be United States a better environment? Sam?
So I have a pretty interesting thoughts about that. For me, when you build a business like we are, which is basically a software business, we don't really need premises or anything like that. I don't understand why it would not, if it's a good idea and a good team, I don't see why you couldn't take it to a certain level from anywhere. Then to scale it when you need hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capital, for example, if the business is successful, even anywhere in the world, this investor will know about you somehow. They always find other opportunities, not only located in Silicon Valley. So that was basically my idea from the beginning, is that we can definitely take it to a good level here. Turns out that brands, London is kind of a big city for advertising, marketing. A lot of brands, a lot of agencies are in London. In the US, it would be New York, but in Silicon Valley, you don't really find, this kind of brands. So for us, it was actually, it made a lot of sense to be located in London.
Okay, and Jeff?
Yeah, my answer is pretty simple. Like all my life, I've always gone where nobody else is. It's the way I like to invest. I invest when people don't like stuff. It's it's something that Warren Buffett talks about all the time. I write a blog called The Contrarian's Mind. I totally believe in I'm early usually in my calls, but I prefer to be early than late. So I usually go where others aren't. And when I moved to Barcelona, there was not much of a tech scene at all. And slowly but surely, it's getting on the map, and things are getting good.
Okay, guys. I guess it's Zagros microphone. I can hear my echo. Yeah. Okay, guys. I thought we have time. today, so I guess it was married with some technical problems, but we overcome it. Obviously, we're in a startup industry. We should do so. Thanks very much for everyone who watched us, and thank you, Zagros from Madrid, Quid Case, and thank you, Sam from London, London for a reason, we know that. And obviously, Jeff, thank you for coming and doing a great job today. So we're going.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, everybody. It was a great talk, great show.
We're going off air. You can say, "Hey, mama, I'm on a tele," or something like that.